Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We're on Love 99.5 FM. We're on a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We're on Kekeli Radio in Ho, Radio Y in Wa, KTU Radio in Koforidua, Radio FM in Tamale, and Dreams FM in Bogatanga. We're live on Twitter Spaces. We're on Facebook, and we're on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrol Sol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrol Sol is always a delightful experience, and also brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. This afternoon, residents of
if they have a bill, they should bring it, you pay. And the foreman of God, I don't do the payment. I'm not paying for my pocket. It's the government that will be paying. So why will I do illegal connection in the first place?
Also in the Netco catchment area, officials are using the security agencies to recover over 1 billion cedis owed to the company.
It's a very crucial exercise. That is the only activity or measure that can save Netco from imminent collapse.
Also this afternoon, Ghana confirms the invasion of a dangerous new mosquito breed resistant to many insecticides with a tendency to increase malaria cases in the country.
If you have a vector like this, that has the high chance of increasing the mosquito population. What it means is that it has ability to more or less worsen the malaria situation and retrogress the progress we have made.
And Ghana has been cited for multiple human rights violations, including torture and extrajudicial killings by the U.S. State Department. To have details of that. Also in sports.
In 20 minutes, we'll hear from one of Ghana's promising track and field athletes who is getting a World Athletics Championships qualification this year.
And it is challenging to study in universities outside Africa, but it takes determination to succeed. That's the message by a Ghanaian who graduated top of his class from the Ohio University.
You begin to feel a sense of loneliness. There's a different form of cultural shock, but you need to stay resilient.
That and more in this package. I am Emefa Apawu. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please stay on for details. Many thanks for your company. And residents in almost 100 communities in the Amansia South District in the Ashanti region say they cannot be blamed for the non-payment of electricity bills, as they insist the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has simply failed to do its work. ECG last week embarked on a disconnection exercise that affected the official residence of the district chief executive. But as Love FM's Irasa Sasaridonko reports, the communities are willing to pay their bills, but whom to pay it to is the challenge.
The service connection to the house is unauthorized. It doesn't go through any ECG document, so we term it as illegal extension.
Ashanti Regional Director of ECG, David Buedia-Samoa, led a team of ECG officials on a disconnection exercise in the Amansia South District last week. Amansia South District has 86 rural communities. These communities, including the district capital, Mansour Dubia, benefited from an electricity extension project under the local government and energy ministries in 2020. Electricity was extended and sharp meters distributed to many houses, including this house, rented by the district assembly for the DCE.
Contractor no buy or the proposal no buy of peso meters for hano. You contacted DTO. District technical officer.
We contacted the district technical officer when the contractor brought the proposal to fix meters here, and he agreed to it. After fixing them, we called him to ask of the capturing process, and he told us it will be done in 2 weeks' time.
No, so Nina arrangement Egua Kwema acha 2 weeks to 3 weeks time on Beba. I'm on Bay.
Maybe I have a bill on your Emma because we are on a bill obey the
I was worried the bill wasn't coming. We even forced them to come and check, and hopefully they are here. But like hundreds of homes at Edubia and its environs, the ECG is yet to produce bills for payment.
This meter here is my own personal meter, and you have two for these two stores. We've not had the bills for getting to 2 years now. I have personally confronted them. He told me that ECG has made that capturing, so it will come.
Love News has cited an ECG memo issued in June 2022 and signed by Managing Director Samuel Dubik Mahama, acknowledging the refusal of some district ECG officers to capture these meters. But we are told by the Manson Kwanta ECG office that after 2 years, the mapping team is yet to capture a number of homes.
Let's join Erastus Asaridonko live now. Erastus, so is it the case that there is no collection point in the district for the ECG?
Exactly, and they do not have an office at the capital of the district. The nearest office to all these communities is between 7 and 43 kilometers. And so imagine somebody paying a bill of 50 cedis, taking transportation that will cost around 80 cedis back and forth just to pay an electricity bill. There's only one person who is collecting electricity bills for 86 communities, and it's a lady. She comes and sits in front of a drinking spot, and the whole people line up in a queue to pay to this woman. That's the problem there.
Interesting. You also got to speak to the DCE on the alleged illegal connection at his residence. What did he say about it?
What we found is that the meter in that particular residence, a rented apartment, is just part of the number of SHEP meters distributed by the local government ministry in 2020. And so that house is part of hundreds of houses with those meters captured by the ECG, but there are no bills to pay. And so he says that he cannot be blamed, and the ECG cannot say that he's stealing electricity when they have captured the meter and they have failed to produce a bill for payment.
I have not engaged in any illegal connection in terms of electricity power, and the assembly is ready to pay any outstanding debt. That is the more reason why we even went on air to inform them that for the past 2 to 3 years now, we've never received any bill. So if they have a bill, they should bring it, we will pay. And before man of God, I don't do the payment. I'm not paying for my pocket. It's the government that will be paying. So why will I do illegal connection in the first place? If it is my private residence, then you have justification for it. But once it's the rented apartment or my bungalow, and the state is supposed to fund that bill, why will I do that? I can't do that, and it is not true. It's false.
Well, Erastus, so we've heard from the residents and their DCE as well. Have we been able to get any reaction or response from the Electricity Company of Ghana?
I walked over to the Manson Kwanta office, and I was told that the manager cannot meet me, cannot grant any interview at the moment. So I should speak to the head office in Kumasi. But meanwhile, I'm getting information from my sources within ECG that there's currently a ECG mapping team trying to capture all the meters at Mansour Dubia and its environs, but they have not finished work.
Well, that's my colleague Erastus Asaridonko, and he'll be following up on this. Subsequently, we'll bring you more, but we'll stay a while longer on issues related to electricity. And this time, the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, is beginning a revenue drive starting today to collect some 1.1 billion cedis debt owed to the company. The exercise is targeted at households, companies, as well as government institutions. The company says it will use the exercise to clamp down on illegal power connections in the area. Maxwell Kotoka is the corporate communications manager of NEDCO.
It's a very crucial exercise that is the only activity or measure that can save NEDCO from imminent collapse. As it stands, we have in excess of 1.1 billion cedis in receivable. As it stands, we also would have to go back and buy the power, pay for it, pay the transmitter to bring the power before we can make it available for our customers on a sustainable basis. This can only happen when we collect the money. At this rate, we should have been doing this exercise yesterday, so we are already late. Today we are late. It cannot be beyond today.
That's Maxwell Kutuka, who's the communications manager for NEDCO. We turn our attention to health-related matters now, and the Ghana Health Service has confirmed the invasion of a new breed of mosquito were more dangerous than the Anopheles. The new breed, known as Anopheles stephensi, is also a malaria-transmitting mosquito, very invasive, spreads faster, and it can adapt to a myriad of climate conditions, according to the World Health Organization. Well, the Ghana Health Service has established its presence in Tuba and Dansoman and has warned residents to protect themselves. My colleague on the health desk, Mami Sinyamiche Thompson, has joined me in studio with details from the Ghana Health Service statement. Well, what more do we know about this particular breed of mosquito, Mamisi?
So, Emefa, this Anopheles stephensi first invaded Africa in 2019. Countries include Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, and Nigeria, and unfortunately confirmed in Ghana just this March. And this breed produces both Plasmodium falciparum, the deadliest species of Plasmodium which causes malaria in humans, and P. vivax malaria parasites. Also, a recent mathematical modeling study by the World Health Organization showed the spread of Anopheles stephensi and the implications for malaria transmission control in Africa. One study projected that the breed could put an additional 126 million people in Africa at risk of malaria if the mosquito vector were to spread unchecked. And the statement also revealed that this breed is resistant to multiple insecticides, which makes it difficult to control.
And I'm sure they've been talking about how they are hoping to stem the spread.
Indeed. So the Ghana Health Service has set up a task force to implement a number of measures. One, removal of water collection points in and around homes and communities to minimize the breeding sites, and also to avoid mosquito bites. People are being advised to wear long sleeves and other protective clothing to avoid mosquito bites.
Okay, thank you very much, Mamisi. Well, Deputy Programs Manager for the Malaria Elimination Program, Dr. Nana Prepra, elaborates more on measures being taken by the health service to stem the spread.
We all ensure that we keep our environment clean. Two, we use the interventions that have been made available to us. If you have the insecticide-treated mosquito nets, you use them. Three, if you have repellents and you have to use them, you use them. If you are in areas where you can wear long sleeves, something that will cover your legs, especially at night, or any exposed part of your body, so that you don't get bitten by the mosquito, you have to do that. There are some places in Ghana where we also do what we call the indoor residual spraying. And for indoor residual spraying, we spray the interior walls of where people sleep. The idea is that even if this mosquito comes in to bite, they usually rest on the walls. When they rest on the walls, they imbibe the chemicals and then they are knocked down. Aside this intervention, even in the event that you have the parasite in you, you go to the facilities, you are tested positive, you will be given anti-malarials. And these are effective treatments that if you receive them on time, you are going to get cured and you are not going to have complications.
Meanwhile, Ghana has become the first African country to approve a new malaria vaccine from Oxford University as part of efforts to combat the disease. Mosquirix from British drug maker GSK was last year endorsed by the World Health Organization, and Dr. Nanaya Pepra says the new vaccine will help fight the malaria parasite.
The vaccine is not for the mosquito. What causes malaria is the parasite. The parasite is transmitted by the mosquito when it bites any man that has the parasite. So if you are giving a vaccine to the child, what you are doing, one, is to prevent the child from having the malaria or the severe form of the disease. So
that's Dr. Nanaya Pepra, Deputy Programs Manager for the Malaria Elimination Program. Now, Ghana has been cited by the U.S. State Department for multiple human rights violations. The report by the department captures violations that took place in the year 2022, and the security agencies have been identified as carrying out some of these abuses. My colleague Bernice Abubedu-Lansa joins me in studio with more. Bernice, first, let's talk about the arbitrary deprivation of life and other unlawful or politically motivated killings.
So, Emefa, they cite a couple of instances incidents in the report. The first one was in February 2022, where a man was chased. He was suspected of being a thief into a chief's palace in Yendi. The police opened fire. They killed one person, injured 8 others. Immediately, there were some investigations. Their pay was reduced. But as of November 2022, the final conclusion of the internal investigation was not made known. Also, on April 24, same year, police in Nkranza, and we carried that story here, arrested one Albert Donko. They brought him into the local police station. They alleged that he was involved in a series of armed robberies. He died in police custody. There was a protest after that, and guess what? The police opened fire again, killing an innocent one. Here again, we know that we don't know what the conclusion of internal investigations are.
Okay, so how about freedom of expression, including for members of the press and other media?
This was another famous one. On February 11, 2022, Oliver Bakavomabo was arrested. We know he's critical of government and other national matters, especially on his Facebook. Well, he was initially charged with misdemeanor of making false statements. The police upgraded the charges to felony treason and held him in prison for 35 days before a judge released him on bail. On violence and harassment, there have been isolated attacks and harassment and arrest of journalists by members of security forces. Authorities later dropped many of the cases. In February 2022 in Takrady, 5 or more police in plain clothes attacked a producer with privately owned broadcaster Connect FM after he photographed officers while they sat in a restaurant with their guns displayed, holding men in handcuffs. And remember the Asepa incident as well. These gentlemen, the ASEPA executive director and a prominent morning show host, were picked up for accusing the First Lady of misappropriating public funds. Authorities charged the two with publication of false news. Yet again, we don't know what the conclusion of that is.
Okay, so there were concerns also about censorship or content restriction for members of the press and other media, including online media.
You're right, Emefa. So the law provides for criminal penalties for those who post false or misleading information online, with penalties of up to 5 years in prison and substantial fines. In August, the Kumasi Traditional Council ordered Oyerepa FM to stop broadcasting after it broadcast a program which the council considered disrespectful to its office. The station had hosted a politician and businessman who accused traditional authorities of condoning illegal mining in the region by their inaction. The station resumed broadcasting 4 days later after issuing apologies to the council.
National security has also been cited.
Exactly. We know what the cases are, but security forces, the report said, sometimes harassed and arrested journalists for alleged violation of national security laws.
Thank you very much, Bernice Abubedu Lansa. We'll turn our attention to politics now. And the opposition NDC has moved to ensure its members of parliament do not break ranks when the party issues directives. Parliamentary aspirants are now required to sign an oath of loyalty plus allegiance document committing to obeying party decisions or risk being sanctioned for anti-party behavior. Now, this comes in the wake of some NDC legislators defying a party directive not to approve President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees last month. My colleague Joseph Akable joins me with a copy of the oath of loyalty and allegiance of the party. Joseph, run us through this particular document.
So point 4 of the oath reads, I will at all times uphold the decisions of the party at all levels and subject myself to the direction, control and command of the party. Under point 5, it goes on to say that if I am elected member of parliament on a ticket of NDC, I shall remain faithful to the ideals, values and decisions of the party at all times. If I am unsuccessful in my bid as a parliamentary candidate, I shall not in any way undermine the winner, but shall work and fully support the campaign. And if I at any time, the final one here, violate the decisions and or directives of the party, such conduct shall constitute anti-party behavior on my part and make me liable to be subjected to the disciplinary processes of the party and the consequences thereof, and you are required to sign this.
So all aspirants must sign this particular document.
We understand the form has been made available at all levels of the party, so that once you intend to contest, you sign this. We can listen to Mustafa Agbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, touch on this.
I think that is novel because of past things that have happened. I want to make sure that we curtail subsequent issues. That it may not be because of what happened from Parliament, but it is part of what happened in Parliament. But what it is seeking to do is to bring a general sanity within the party and to ensure that if you are in Parliament, you must understand that it is a party that has made you who you are. If you don't want to associate and obey the rules of the party, you are as good as not contesting on the ticket of the party.
That's the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande, who's staying in the camp of the NDC, and flag bearer hopeful Dr. Kwabena Dufo is promising to restore Ghana's economy to a sound footing within 2 years if giving the nod. He's been speaking to delegates of the party in the northern region.
We have done it before. We should let go of the past. When we come, I promise you, in just 2 years, we'll restore the dignity of the nation. We will create jobs, bring down inflation, and obtain single digits once again.
From the northern region to the eastern region, another flag bearer hopeful is on the road, John Dramani Mahama, and is still taking aim at the government, accusing it of mismanaging the economy.
Intobia eboa edidu baby no bia beje no de ato aso say din wo ho unim hwe incompetent Mahama omoso omoka broni kasa omo brofo ne broni for the India me kasa Ghana for brofo ne bi ezu incompetent Mahama administration. MPP is going to come and transform Ghana in 1.5 years. When we come, we'll give you 1 district, 1 factory. Enya brofun kwa no muka slangs omo. Ye ka twimpo ye ka slangs. Ghana ye ya mobododo. Ghana ye ya mobododo. Ghana nye hiamai. Yet is kaso. I come there. But this slang no. In fact, in Mefie. Bakasasa no aka say, hey, Charlie Akwe or Binfo. Fellow Ghanaians. In fact,
We take a quick break here on the Midday News, sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. We've been hearing from residents of almost 100 communities in the Amansia South District who say they cannot be blamed for the non-payment of electricity bills, as they insist the ECG has simply failed to do its work. When we return, we have sport, and then it is challenging to study in universities outside Africa, but it takes determination to succeed. That's the message by a Ghanaian who graduated top of his class from the Ohio University.
You begin to feel a sense of loneliness. There's a different form of cultural shock, but you need to stay resilient.
Thanks for sticking with us. Let's do sports. Michelle.
Hello. Isaac Botiu, only in his first year as a student athlete in the USA, has set his sights on qualifying for this year's World Athletics Championships to be hosted in Budapest, Hungary. After an impressive indoor season, the former University of Ghana student opened his outdoor campaign with a second place finish at the Jamaica Classic behind countryman Benjamin Azamati. Botiu recorded 10.06 seconds in that race, just outside the 10.0 seconds mark required to qualify for the World Championships.
I need to hit the sub 10, probably to hit the sub 10.
At the moment you did 6.62 or
6.1.
6.1,
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
6.1 is my PB in the 60 meters.
Which is not bad. You're not far off.
Yes. So if calculate maybe 10.0 or sub 10 probably, but not putting pressure on myself. I just believe in my coaches, as I said earlier on. I believe in the program. Yeah. So everything will come in place, and when the competition comes, the time to also come. Yeah.
So George Addo Jr. speaking to Isaac Botiu. Let me leave you with some handball, because Day 3 of the Africa Zone 3 Handball Championships continues this afternoon at the Accra Sports Stadium. In the under-17 category, Nigeria takes on Ghana at 2 p.m. Cote d'Ivoire take on Liberia. And the under-19, Cote d'Ivoire up against Liberia at 4 p.m. while Ghana, the host nation, face Benin at 6.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I'll take you live to Washington, D.C. now for the IMF World Bank Spring Meetings, where Ghana is also hoping to clinch that crucial deal. We understand the Ghanaian team would later this afternoon hold a crucial press conference, and Joy Business editor George Riafe is there for us, joins us on the line via Zoom. I beg your pardon, George. So we understand the delegation is expected to hold a major news conference. What do we know about this?
Well, Emil, for what we are picking up is just to update us on the several meetings that they've been having with all the partners that matters with respect to the IMF, the World Bank, and the other development partners, as well as the U.S. government and the Treasury Department. So more to tell us how discussions have progressed, especially when it comes to the external creditors and the progress that they've made. Earlier on MFA, I think I explained to you about the partial creditor committee that has been established. We understand that there's supposed to be some engagement this week, and that will give us a fair idea whether indeed we are making progress on the Paris Club, maybe announcing that they will indeed participate in Ghana's financing program and possibly lead to restructuring of Ghana's program. Don't forget that also China was supposed to come back because they had some issues about how to classify their debt with respect to debts owed the Chinese Exim Bank, and also the push that if the World Bank and the IMF wants them to participate, they should also come on board with respect to the cancellation of Ghana's debt. And we'll be getting more fine details from government side how these talks have progressed with the Paris Club, China, and even how these other partners are pushing to help stabilize the economy.
We'll stick with you, George Wiafe, Joy Business Editor. Also more here at 1 p.m. And also the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is urging government to take advantage of what it believes is a slight improvement in some economic indicators to implement pro-business policies. Dr. Joseph Obeng is president.
Essentially, what we are saying is that inflation has not been helping the growth of businesses, and that's the reason why we are urging the government to continue with its effort and take advantage of the reduction of the exchange rate to further reduce inflation and other costs of doing business in the country. The inflation that we are experiencing now is a cost-push inflation and not a demand pool. So it's very important that we do everything to reduce the cost of doing businesses, including taxes and all that.
And back to America, where a Ghanaian student who graduated as the best graduating student of the Ohio University with a CGPA of 4.0 is urging Ghanaian students to believe in themselves when pursuing academic excellence, especially outside the continent of Africa. According to Victor Kojode, an alumnus of the University of Cape Coast, studying outside the continent is challenging, but people need to be determined to achieve their set goals. He spoke on Joy News Prime.
One of the reasons why I'm even excited about this is not just because of what I have achieved, but the inspiration that is sent out to people in Ghana and other parts of the world who are planning on pursuing academic excellence in countries other than those in Africa, that you can make it just put in a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, but it is worthy of all the effort you put in. It's not as easy as people said. You begin to feel a sense of loneliness. There's a different form of cultural shock, but you need to stay resilient, you need to stay focused, and just keep your eyes on the goal and just work towards it, and you can succeed.
Let's now focus on the younger ones and defending champions of the Love FM Primary Schools quiz. Mana International School will battle it out with Divine Mission Academy and Mata Devi Basic, who have progressed to the grand finale of the competition. The three schools are keen on lifting the trophy to gain the bragging right as the best basic school in Ashanti with superior quiz prowess. Nana Buachi Adam has more in the following report.
Is correct for 3 points.
Three schools are keen on lifting the trophy to gain the bragging right as the best busy school in the Ashanti region with superior quiz pros. Mana International School will face an uphill task as Mata Devi Basic School and Divine Mission Academy prepare intensively for victory. Each school would have to amass the much coveted points to grab the grand prize. For Mata Devi Basic School, their target is to win the final contest.
In the next contest, that's the grand finale of the quiz, what are we to expect from Mata Devi?
Expect the best. Nothing but the best.
Nothing but the best, okay.
Mana International School says this year's final is a means to making history in the contest.
That is
they
correct
believe
for 3
strongly in
points.
retaining the trophy.
Again this year, by the grace of God, we have made it to the finals of the Love FM Primary School.
We can only promise you the best of Mana International School. So catch us live on Joy Learning on Friday at 2 p.m. to witness the great victory once again of Mana International School. My
Thank you.
The great Mana always says, yeah!
We wish them all the best, and that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, and Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Bakavoma arrest, threats of violence against journalists, unjustified detention feature in U.S. State Department's 2022 report, and NPP shouldn't think of rigging 2024 elections. We'll mark them boot for boot, Mahama. That and more on myjoyonline.com. Living Word with Pastor Mensel Tabel, Words of Salvation.